Welcome to Martha Runs the World, a podcast with a new take on running, fitness, and all things health-oriented. I'm Martha Hughes, your host, and each week I present a new topic that is of interest to all runners. Welcome to episode 153 of Martha Runs the World. I am so happy you joined me today. I have a terrific guest that I know you're going to love. Anne Bonney she's a ball of energy. She's a motivational speaker. She's a runner. She's an Ironman. She does marathons all over the world, and she's going to talk about all of this. She also has a podcast too. She's going to talk about all of this with us in just a moment. I do have some news for you. Next year in January, I am going to start a new project. It's going to be pretty cool. I was thinking about this to myself this past week, and I've been planning it. A lot of people, I know there are people out there who want to start running, but don't know how to start, don't know how to begin. I'm going to start a weekly program on YouTube, completely free, for those who wish to begin running but don't know how to start. This is for complete beginners, this is not for those who are really athletic, who maybe bicycle all the time and are in perfect shape and want to run as well. This is for those of you who are just starting out. Maybe you ran 20, 30 years ago. Maybe you never have run before. Maybe you are not active and you want to be active. So this is for those of you who are intimidated by real elite runners showing you how to do it. Those of you who are intimidated by people with perfect bodies trying to show you how to do something, because mine ain't perfect. I'll tell you that. So I'm going to have a weekly series of like 10-minute, 15-minute videos to help you get started with running. And we're going to start with walking. We're going to start with pre-running exercises and pre-running fitness to get you going before you start to run. And it'll be a lot of fun because I'm going to start running all over again. Of course, I've been a runner for a while, but it's like beginning all over again. So that's going to start in mid-January. So I'll tell you a little bit more when that happens. So it's pretty exciting. I'm going to make videos for it, and I'll give you a little bit more information as we go along. All right. And it's Martha Runs the World's beginning running program. I know that's a long title, but I'll give you more information, like I said, when we get closer. And that starts January 17th. All right. And now here is Anne Bonney. Will you welcome to the program? She's a motivational speaker. She's a runner. She is a motivator. She has a podcast. And will you welcome Anne Bonney? Hi, Anne. How are you?
Hey, Martha. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for being here. I should say her podcast name is Ignite Your Influence, but she's rebranding it next year. First, we will talk about that. But I wanted to ask you, when did you first figure out that running was pretty fun?
I haven't figured that out, Martha. I really like getting medals. I like completing long distances, but the actual running part is not why I'm in it.
Well, that's the whole subject onto its own. Well, what keeps you going?
It feels really good to be done. And I'm being a little hyperbolic about this, but it's true. You know, I love that feeling of the endorphins. I love the connection with other people. I love having fitness goals that I put money down for. And if I don't show up and am not physically ready, I lose my money, because that keeps my fitness in check. So, a lot of reasons, mostly related to the actual running event and running with other people.
That is really interesting. It's so fun to talk to different people because we all have different reasons why we do it.
It's true.
Yeah, it is really true. What was your very first race?
The Baltimore Marathon Relay.
Okay. How did that go for you?
It was amazing, but I fought it. It was 2002. I had just joined the team at Under Armour. I was employee number 80, and Under Armour sponsored the Baltimore Marathon and the half and the relay and the 5K. And of course, everybody in the company is talking about the race and I'm doing the half, I'm doing the full, I'm doing the relay. And somebody asked me to be on the relay team. And I had never run more than a mile in my life. And I was like, nah, I don't run. So finally she talked me into it. And I had so much fun that by January, that Baltimore Marathon's in October. By January, I had signed up for my first full marathon. By June, I'd run that. And the following year, I ran the full Baltimore Marathon.
Oh, how fun. How fun. And so relay team has how many people? What, 4?
Yes.
Okay. So that's not really that far. I mean,
and I had the shortest leg. It was just 3 miles.
Oh, that's super easy then. How fun.
Yeah.
Cool. So October, that's probably beautiful weather too, right?
Oh, and it was the perfect day. It was sunny. And of course, Under Armour sponsored the event. So they had a tent of their own afterwards. So all my coworkers were there and we had fun. And it was fantastic. And the bus from my relay stop got a police escort through the city of Baltimore, which was really fun.
Wow. What a great first memory. That's incredible. No wonder why you keep running. That's awesome.
Exactly. I'm just trying to relive that day.
So what's your favorite running mantra to keep yourself going?
You're not done yet. My dad asked me that once after I think it was my second Ironman. He said, how do you do it? How do you do 140 miles? It's 5:00 at night. You've got 6 hours to go. And I was like, well, I wasn't done. I set myself to finish 140 miles that day and I was going 140 miles. So that's kind of what keeps me going is, hey, I'm not there yet. I'm not done.
So I assume you're a very goal-oriented person.
A little bit. Yeah.
I can tell. So do you have a favorite place you like to run?
I love trail. Because you got to pay attention to your footsteps and where you're putting your feet. And it's harder to be distracted by, your legs and how bored you are and how you can't breathe and all that stuff. So I love trail, plus just being in the woods feels really good. Yeah. But I love city marathons too, because you get to run through the city without all the traffic.
Yeah.
And you get to see cities in a different way. I mean, I did San Francisco. I've done Berlin. I remember running through the old city of Berlin and how cool that was. And DC. Cool. Yeah. Such a beautiful city. DC is, and how clean it is without all the cars. It's awesome. So that's one of my favorite places to do races too.
San Francisco's a hard marathon. I've done that one. That's a tough one. There's a lot of hills in that one.
Yeah. Yeah. You can say that again.
Oh, that's hard. That is really hard.
Yeah. Escape from Alcatraz triathlon really did me in.
Oh my goodness. You did that. You did Escape from Alcatraz. That's a hard Alcatraz. Oh my gosh. You swam in the bay. Good for you.
It was so fun. And it's so funny because on the boat out there, cause you have to leap off of this boat out by the island by Alcatraz. And all of the veterans love to sit on the boat ride and tell the newbies about the sharks, the seals, and how dangerous it is. So we're all sitting there freaking out and they're just chuckling to themselves. But just swimming and stopping in the middle of the bay and looking and being like, there's Alcatraz and there's the bridge and there's a city and holy crap, I'm in the middle of it all. It was just so worth every painful step.
How fun.
That was really
fun. Neat. That is really, really neat. When did you decide you wanted to run on every continent?
Oh, well, so I guess it was probably 2005. What year did I do Antarctica? I think I did it in 2007. So it was 2005. Okay. And I had already done a whole bunch of marathons. Now, just so y'all know, I worked for Under Armour in the running industry. Okay. So I was at a lot of these races anyway that I was running. So I had run a whole bunch of marathons in the US and I said, I want to do something else. I want to go somewhere different and cool and around the world. And, I saw the 7 Continent Club, which is people who've run a marathon on every continent. I was like, that would be cool. So that was when I decided.
That's incredible. What was it like running Antarctica?
Cold. It was wet. Well, so there's two marathons in Antarctica. One's on the pole. That's life-threatening and very, very cold. And that's not the one that I did. Okay. I did the one on King George Island, which is on the little finger of land that sticks up towards Argentina. And so, I mean, it was 25, 30 degrees. It really was. And I live in Michigan right now. So it was kind of like yesterday. But it was, very wet.
Mm-hmm.
And so I spent a lot of time preparing my shoes, making sure, like running through streams in new shoes and then sending them back if my feet were wet. So I had this killer pair of Vask running shoes that for our typical running event were like 4 pounds heavier than you would ever wear,
Mm-hmm.
but my feet were dry as a bone.
Wow.
And most of the people who wore regular running shoes, their feet were wet within the first 100 yards.
Mm.
And because Antarctica is ice and snow and mud and a glacier climb, and, you know, I mean, it's, you think San Francisco's bad. Because it's like that, you typically take more time than you would in a regular marathon.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, you're out there for a long time to have wet feet the whole time. But it was amazing. It was something you've never like experienced before. Like there was a fur seal at mile, I think 9 and 16 because it was a double loop course.
Mm-hmm.
And he started chasing people and he wasn't like, he just wanted you away from his little part of where the trail was. And he was 20 feet off the trail or so, but he kept, you know, chasing people, which was pretty funny. And this is a big animal. This is a 600 or 700 pound sea lion kind of guy. And then there were these big albatross-like birds called skua.
Wow.
That, like, if you're near their nest,
Mm-hmm.
they would just fly down and whack you in the head with a wing. Fortunately, I didn't get attacked by a skua, but a few people my year did.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And they know how to open candy bars. So if you had a candy bar at the drop, you weren't sure whether it was going to be there. So not your typical race.
So it's like a trail race almost then.
Oh yeah, totally. Oh yeah. There's no roads there. Yeah.
That's insane. So when you take a boat there from Argentina?
Yep.
Okay.
From Ushuaia, which is the southernmost city in the world,
Mm-hmm.
jump on a boat for a day and a half and, end up down in Antarctica.
I'm sure you're probably got seasick like on the way there or something.
I grew up on boats, but I also put the patch, but
Mm-hmm.
the people who did not take, precautions were down under sick for a day and a half.
Okay.
Oh, it would have been terrible because the Drake Passage
Mm-hmm.
is the roughest seas in the world because it's uninterrupted going down below the continent. And so fortunately it was pretty mild when we were there, but it was still the roughest seas a lot of people had ever been on.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Which makes
yeah.
it hard to run a marathon the next day. Like, hey, welcome to Antarctica. You've been puking for 2 days. Good luck with the race.
And you're all dehydrated. Yay.
Yeah, exactly.
So do they have the real strict, they're very strict about what you have to, take off and about the, they keep everything very green and everything you have to take.
Yeah. So
with you,
there
right?
were 2 ships that
Mm-hmm.
had runners on them. I think there were 100 runners per ship.
Okay.
And one of the environmental rules is you can only have 100 people assembled in one place at one time.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually our boat, I think, took off an hour before their boat.
Okay.
Right. So we got shore, got going, and then the other boat came and got going. So we were all in the course, but as we all know, you get spread out in a 26-mile race.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. That is fascinating.
It was so cool. It was an unbelievable experience.
Yeah. Yeah. That is great. So how many more continents do you have to go?
I only have 2 left.
Excellent. Which ones?
Yep. Asia and Australia.
Okay. So probably wait for a little while until things loosen up a little bit with the.
Yeah. Well,
training.
the plan is for Great Wall of China in 2023. I have a friend who's already ready to do that with me.
Cool.
And one of my goals as a professional speaker is to get some international gigs. And so I'm hoping to get a gig in Australia so that I can go over on somebody else's dime, spend a little extra time there and get my Australia marathon in.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's how I did Zimbabwe. I was going to Malawi anyway. And I looked and the Victoria Falls Marathon was the weekend before I needed to be in Malawi. I was like, well, heck, I'll just go a little early and run a little marathon.
Oh my goodness. So did you get close to Victoria Falls?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yep. We crossed the river into, oh crap. I think it was Uganda.
Mm-hmm.
And you could see Victoria Falls right from the bridge. It was unbelievably gorgeous. And the sun was coming up at that moment and it was just beautiful.
Oh, wow.
That is some water right there.
That is. And it's difficult to get there too, isn't it?
You mean as far as the airport?
A travel to the falls doesn't it take a while to get there on the road or something like that?
No, in fact, there's a bit of a hike into it. I think the hike is like a half mile from where you park and go in the gate.
Okay.
Yeah. It's right in town, essentially. The town is built around the falls, and you can actually hear the falls from a lot of places in the city.
Wow. That's really awesome.
It's cool. It's thundering, you know?
My goodness. What an experience. What has been your favorite marathon so far?
I don't know how to answer that question.
There's so many different things I know.
There have been so many and so many different experiences. So, I mean, first marathon was Kona Marathon, which, I mean, I got to go to Hawaii. I mean, that's no brainer. So that was awesome. It was my first and it was Hawaii. I actually did rock and roll in San Diego with the Running Elvises. I also did Vegas with the Running Elvi. And they actually have, that's what they call themselves. And they actually have a baby stroller with a boombox that plays Elvis music and a cooler of beer. They run the entire race with. So clearly these are tourist marathoners, not like serious running marathoners. But I make the ugliest Elvis in the world, but man, it was fun to be Elvis for a day.
Cool.
I ran the Goofy Challenge, the Disney half on one day and the full the next day with a friend of mine. And we wore costumes and got to talk to people. That was super fun. Zimbabwe was amazing because there were baboons on the course. I mean, Antarctica, it's Antarctica. So I don't know. There have been so many great marathon experiences.
Which one did you do what did you do in South America?
We did the one in Ushuaia. Actually, the city of Ushuaia is smart in that they planned their marathon for the day after or 2 days after the Antarctica marathon boat got back. So nice. I actually did 2 continents in that trip.
Wow.
Yeah. So I had to run a marathon a week away from the last marathon, but it worked out.
Yeah. Cool. Very cool. Yeah. That is smart. That's very good. Yeah. So, which one was your hardest to do? The most difficult? Well, I mean, technically, I guess Antarctica was the steepest of hills. I did one in 2 different shoes one time because I was getting ready early in the morning and I didn't want to turn on the light and wake up my partner. No. So I ended up with, fortunately, a left and a right, but they were different running shoes. Oh, that's hilarious.
So that was an interesting experience, but it worked out okay. I've had some, I don't know. I'd have to think about that one. Fortunately, it doesn't resonate in my head.
Yeah. So you've done Ironman before too, right?
I've done 2. Yep.
Okay. Do you just now concentrate on running or are you planning to do any more triathlons?
Triathlon's super fun. I don't know if I'll do another Iron distance triathlon. The training commitment is significant.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether I want to. It's just a lot of time. I travel a lot for work. And so getting the time in the saddle on the bike would be a big challenge. And I'm not sure whether I want to spend my time that way. I'm happy with the 2 I did.
Yeah. Okay. I totally understand that. There's a lot goes into that.
But I would totally do another Olympic, maybe even another half, because triathlon is fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So now motivational speaker. How did you get started doing that?
I quit my job and got a business card that said I was a motivational speaker.
Just like that.
I mean, it's a scary process, but it worked 6 years later. That's honestly pretty much it. And if you get up on stage and say some things that people like and say it in a way people like, they keep hiring you. So it's worked out pretty well.
So were you always comfortable speaking in front of people?
Yeah, I'm a giant show off.
You?
Yeah. I grew up performing, singing. I went to a performing arts high school. So I spent a lot of time on stage. So it was not a big, shift to be on stage speaking.
Right. So then next came the podcast.
Yep.
Now, was starting a podcast, when you started your podcast, was it what you thought it was going to be, or was it easier or more difficult?
It was way easier. And I think part of it was that I didn't have, big monetary goals. I didn't have big audience goals. I really kind of didn't pay attention to any of the numbers.
Right.
which some would say is irresponsible and kind of stupid. But my goal in having the podcast was to get content out there as a speaker, and to have a good time with it and talk to some people and have cool conversations about courage at the time and then building influence and now getting uncomfortable. And it's just been so much fun over the last 3 years that it's flown, and I'm on like episode 170, I think. And, I still absolutely love it. So it's just an excuse to have awesome conversations with cool people.
Yeah. It's really fun to talk, isn't it?
Yes. Right. I get paid for it, Martha.
I know. I love it. I love talking. I don't care if no one listens to me. I don't care. I'm good with it because I can talk.
Just keep talking.
But see, unlike you though, I don't like speaking in front of people in public. I just like doing it in front of the mic. So I'm good with that. That's fine with me. Now you tie it in with your motivational speaking. Do you cover the same subjects that you do in your live talks?
Yes, kind of. My main keynotes are on dealing with the discomforts of change, having difficult conversations and building resilience and mental toughness. And so, in my new rebrand of the podcast, which is going to be Dancing in the Discomfort Zone, all of that stuff is going to be covered, but I do more interviews than my own talking. On the podcast, so that there's a nice variety on the show. Right.
That's nice. That makes it cool. I like that, dancing in the discomfort zone.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah, that is fun because that's what we do every day, isn't it?
Well, we should be, but oftentimes we get stuck sitting in the comfort zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We get stuck there.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. We can't get stuck there because that's how you don't get anything done.
Exactly.
And then we realize, oh, why didn't I do that?
Yeah, right. Why didn't I dance a little? I should have gotten up.
Exactly. Or jumped head first into a shallow pond.
You're in my life, Martha. Get out of my head.
Well, sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't.
That's true.
You just have to take, sometimes you're just going to fail. That's just the way life is.
Well, exactly. And it's funny because I'm reading a book called Grit right now, by Angela Duckworth. And she talks about how, as a child, as a babies, we are, we fail all the time. We stand up and fall down. We try this and it doesn't work. And we try it again. And it's never bad until we get to kindergarten and people are like, oh, no, you did that wrong. And suddenly failure becomes wrong. Yeah. But failure is the only way we ever get to move forward and figure things out and realize what doesn't work. And so part of my whole goal in speaking and in the podcast is letting people know that failure is a great opportunity to learn, right? You sign up for a marathon or an Ironman, you might not finish it. And you're going to learn more about yourself in that process. Oh, Martha, I remember which one was the hardest one. But anyway, you're going to remember.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
Now that we're talking about failure and discomfort. You're going to learn more about yourself and be stronger next time than you would if it was easy and you did it well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Talk, Martha.
Easy for you to say.
I know, really, right? You can fall all you want. Just get back up. Keep getting back up. Right.
It's never a failure if you learn from it.
Absolutely. So now, which was your hardest one?
Okay. So it was San Diego rock and roll. No, not San Diego. I'm sorry. Virginia Beach.
Oh.
And I got dehydrated. And the guy I was dating was supposed to be, I think it was only a half, but the guy I was dating was supposed to be cheering me on at like mile 10 or 11. And it was like a half mile from where I was supposed to see him. And I was crying, and I'm not a crier. I was like, I don't want to see him. I don't want to see him. This is terrible. Why do I do this? And I'm like this blubbering idiot. And it was like this snap out of my body moment where I was like, who are you right now? And what's going on? And I realized, okay, I'm dehydrated. Everything's going to be okay. Get some water. You'll be fine, honey. But that was a rough one because it was super, super hot. And
Oh yeah. You get dehydrated like you've done ultras in those long races.
Yep.
You come into the aid station, and bless those aid station angels. They're wonderful. Angels of mercy. They put up with our bitchiness and
they'll touch our feet.
Yes. And they're so nice to us. And they're nice to us, even though we're maybe not so nice. We come in, we're saying, I did terrible. And and everything, and they said, you need water. Do you want this? Do you want this? Do you want this? And I try I try not to be mean or cranky or anything. And I try to be as nice as I can because they're just so wonderful. And then once you get that saltiness or whatever, the electrolytes or whatever, you feel much better and you say, thank you so much. Because you have to say thank you to them. You have to.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like, thank you so much. You just saved my life. Yep.
Oh my gosh. I remember this one hot day. I live in San Francisco and we have this Bay Ridge Trail. It goes along the ridges of the Bay Area. It's beautiful. Almost completed. It's like 400 miles. But there's one part of it that like goes from San Francisco all along up to Stinson Beach. And it's about, the distance that I did was about 18 miles and it was a hot day. It was like 75 out. So it's pretty warm here. And there's like 5,000 feet elevation gain. So there's a lot of elevation, tons of elevation. And it was just really hot. And then I think it got to 80 at one point. And it was just really, really hot. And there's just so much elevation and so much heat. And they had this big bucket and they just took a sponge and took the cold water, and just poured it over your head. Oh my God. It was just like the best thing ever. And then it gave me that and a bag of potato chips and a Coke. And it was it was like, can I just stay here and never leave?
They have the best snacks, especially at Ultras. They got potatoes, they got pizza, they got M&Ms. Oh my gosh. And you just like sit down, like it's a snack bar. They're like, ma'am, you need to finish your race now.
I know. The first time I started doing trail races, it's like, my God, this is amazing. This is better than 7-Eleven.
Right? It's so worth it. And the funny thing is, a 50K is only like 6 miles longer than a regular marathon. So you might as well. And they have a keg at the end usually.
Right? Usually food and everything. But you work a lot harder in a trail marathon than you're going to in a street marathon.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah. It's a lot more work. It's a lot harder, a lot more fun because you can walk. I mean, you can walk up hills. You don't run up those hills. You walk up those hills. So it's pretty fun. Yeah. I love it. And I tried to I usually now only do trail races just because it's just more fun.
It is. And it's so much more interesting. I mean, I love crowds and stuff. Don't get me wrong. In Boston, when we ran by the girls at, oh crap, what school? It's not Vassar.
Yeah. I forgot. My God. The one where they all scream and
I poo-pooed it. I was like, it's not going to be that great. And like, as I'm running through, you just feel this wall of energy just hit you in the chest. And you're like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. I cry a lot during races, but it's so awesome. Yeah.
That's neat. Yeah. That's really neat. Yeah. I don't mind it once I get started, but I really don't like big crowds. So I have a real hard time dealing with really crowded corrals and waiting and waiting. So I kind of shy away from the giant races anymore. It's just like, oh my God, I don't want to deal with these people.
Yeah. Well, and that is a thing, especially now with COVID and everything. You're like, oh, maybe I'll go for some smaller local races.
Exactly. It's like, I don't know. I always wanted to do New York, but I don't think I could deal with those people for hours before the race. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah. I did Chicago the year they ran out of water.
Oh, that was awful.
Oh man. And, I lost my brother. I was running with my brother. It was his first marathon and I lost my brother and I was fine because I was training for the 50 miler. But I remember the cop I was running and they had closed the race at this point. They're like, the race is closed. We're going to go take you right to the finish line straight without going around, it'll be 18 miles, whatever. Who cares? You'll live. And, I was running because I was feeling fine. And one of the cops says, ma'am, please stop running. And I said, no, I'm fine. I know my body. I'm good. He goes, ma'am, we've run out of ambulances. If you go down, we can't help you.
Oh my God.
And I was like, okay, I'll walk.
That's scary. That's scary.
It was interesting.
There's no messing around at that point.
Yeah, no, I was like, okay, yes, sir.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So is the marathon your favorite distance to run?
50K is my favorite because it's pretty much a marathon, but it's a little farther and people are like, ooh, but it's really the same.
Yeah, it is fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
The problem with 50K, well, around here, I don't know how it is where you're in, you live in Michigan, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The problem with 50Ks here is everybody's so fast, so I can never make the cutoff. So I have to go to 50Ks out of town.
Yeah.
Because they have like eight 8-hour cutoffs. And it's like, I can never do it in 8 hours.
And it's so funny. The people, and I'm a tourist marathoner. I call myself I go for the snacks and the medal. I'm still, I make the cutoff, but I'm not in any rush because I paid good money for the race. The people who win ultras, I believe, are a completely different species.
Oh yeah. I think
they are
so.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
I remember doing the JFK 50, which is the only 50 miler I've ever done. And I started 2 hours early because they let the slow people start early. So I did.
Yeah.
And I remember when the winners came by us, we're still going down the Appalachian Trail and we're like doing a fast walk. And all of a sudden we hear them say, coming by, we got out of the way and they just went, they just ran right by us and they just like, I'm like, wow. I mean, it was like a totally different, it was unbelievable.
How fun.
So impressive. Yeah.
I would like to do that one. I think that would be really cool. That's beautiful scenery, isn't it?
Gorgeous scenery. And one of the things I really liked about it is the first, I think, let's see, how does it work? Like the first 15 or 16 miles is on the Appalachian Trail. So it's heavy trail. You got to really pay attention. But it's beautiful woodsy. And then the next 20 to 25 miles is along the C&O Canal. So it's flat, it's fast, it's pretty, but it's different because it's along the canal.
Yeah.
And then the last 8 miles, you're blind anyway, so it doesn't matter, but it's all on roads to get to where the finish line is. So it's kind of cool because it kind of has 3 phases. So you're like, okay, let's make it to the C&O. Okay, let's make it to the end of the C&O. Now we make it to the finish line. I like to chunk up races like that.
Yeah.
And so that I liked about it a lot.
Well, that makes it a lot easier to run. One of the advices I was given when I first started doing ultras is like, take it in sections. Say, run from aid station to aid station if you want, but make it in sections because it makes it easier.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you've got that milestone for yourself. Yep.
Yeah, it does. So when's your next race?
What do I have on the calendar? Honestly, right now, I don't have anything. I broke my ankle in July. And so I haven't been signing up for anything. I just did the turkey trot with my friend and I did a 5.7 random distance recently. So the next one that I have planned is Great Wall of China in 2023.
Okay. So
unless I get an Australian speaking gig, then it'll be sooner.
There you go. So you're still healing then, probably.
No, I'm pretty much back.
Okay. Good.
But I'm working back to running shape.
Yeah.
Because I didn't run a lot during the pandemic. I did a lot of the virtual races, but your motivation to go fast is low when nobody's around you and nobody's holding the clock to you.
It's true. It's true. Yeah. I mean, it's just nice just to get out there, just to take it slow and just relax. And
yeah, it's true. And it was nice, a good excuse to get out because it was really easy during the pandemic, especially with all my work being online, to just never leave the house.
Yeah.
So I had those big, long virtual races to kind of keep me moving.
Yeah.
Keep me getting out of the house. So that was nice.
What advice do you give a runner who wants to set a big goal for themselves?
Know what your goal is and train towards that goal. And make sure your goal is your goal. I, 1 year, decided that I wanted to pick up the same goal as a friend of mine who was trying to get faster. And I hated every race I did. And suddenly I realized my goal isn't to run a certain time. It's to participate. It's to feel good. And that's my goal. And so figuring out what genuinely your goal is for that race, what you want it to be, and train for that goal. And sometimes that means getting a coach to help with that.
That makes a lot of sense. It really does, because you need to know what you love about running. It's just like when I ask you, why do you love running? Why do you run? Your reason might be different from mine, and mine might be different from someone else's. We all do it for a different reason.
Right. And when I pull a chair up to the aid station, people are like, what are you doing? This is a race. You have to go fast. And I'm like, that's not my goal.
Yeah.
And some people don't understand that. They're like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, it's not my goal, and that's fine. And you're going to do better in your race. You're going to beat more people because I'm slow. So you're welcome.
I mean, as long as you make the cutoffs, that's all that matters.
Yeah. That's why they have the cutoff.
Yep.
Yep.
That's it.
Takes all kinds. And frankly, it's interesting too, because I was in the running industry when I worked for Under Armour. And, there was a lot of discussion around running and racing purists who wanted to keep the races, for the fast people. But because of us slow people like me, there are more races. There's more opportunities to win. There's more opportunities to have fun, do well, get out there and race because of us tourist marathoners who have a different goal and different definition of success. And it's made for a lot more races.
Well, absolutely.
We pay for all of us.
We pay the bills. You're welcome.
Yeah, right. Exactly. We're paying for the money you get when you win.
Exactly. That's right. Oh no, I always want to be faster. I mean, I want to make my purpose is I would like to be faster. And I haven't run for a while because I just had surgery. So I'm getting back into it. I do want to be faster than what I was before, but I'm not ever going to be a speed demon. I'm never going to be in the front of the race, but I would like to improve myself. I still will be slow, but I want to be faster. Yeah, that would be nice. It would be nice to be a little faster than I was. That would be great. And maybe I can now that I have a new hip and I can go a little bit faster, not in pain all the time. That would be great.
Yeah. And that's the key is that's I want to be more comfortable.
Yeah.
Right. I've had a few races where I'm like, God, that was easy. And then I've had a few races where it's like, wow, that wasn't easy at all.
Exactly.
So I train so I can be more comfortable.
Yeah, there we go. I like that. I train so I can be more comfortable. That would be nice. It would be nice to have a long race where I wasn't in pain the entire time. That would be nice.
You didn't spend the last 6 miles saying, now, why did I pay for this?
I know. My old hip. I remember I used to.
Oh, I bet.
I did a 50K where I was in tears the whole time I finished it. And I love running. I love the whole doing running. I love going out there and just spending hours on the trail running and hiking up the hills and running down the hills. I love the whole just movement of running. I love it. As slow as I am, I still love it.
Yeah.
But I don't like the pains.
Well, and that's amazing because if I was 10 miles in and I was in pain to that degree, I'd be like, yeah, I think I'm going to take a cab back. I just don't care that much. Like I'm not at all competitive. I don't enjoy the actual running part. It's when I get in the zone and I forget that I'm running that I'm like, oh, this is awesome.
I'm a little stubborn.
To you.
I'm a little stubborn.
Well, and if you love that whole feeling of movement and running and stuff, that's fantastic.
Well, I'm a little stubborn and it's not that I'm goal oriented. It's just like, God darn it. I paid my rent. I want to finish this race and I'm going to finish it no matter what.
Got to get my money's worth.
Exactly. And I want to do this.
Yeah. I've only actually pulled out of one race and, I was having knee issues, but yeah.
Well, that knee issues are different. Knee issues, you can really hurt your knee. I couldn't hurt my hip any more than it was hurt. The doctor says, you're not going to do any more damage. It just is going to hurt. You can't hurt it any more than it's hurt.
Well, and that knowledge helps a lot. You're like, all right, here we go.
Okay, exactly. And then there was one race I got to the 50K and my friend said, I was in tears and my friend said, okay, you're not going to run anymore. And I said, okay.
It's hurting me too much.
Exactly. I can't look at you anymore. You're going to stop. So that must say something about how I looked. If your friends can't take you,
that's right. I can't take it. Please stop for me.
I know.
You're like, all right, for you.
All right. For you. Exactly.
So are you back to running now?
Not yet. I had surgery last month.
Okay.
So I'm walking now. So
Good.
I walked to 5K on Thanksgiving, a virtual 5K on Thanksgiving, and that was pretty good.
Nice.
I went to the physical therapist today and she was very proud of my progress. She did say she's not going to give me approval. She has to give me approval to run before I run. And I said, okay, yes, ma'am. So
yep.
She's the boss.
Ma'am.
She's the boss. So when she says,
I remember
okay.
my physical therapist said the same thing. I'm like, do I get to run now? And he's like, nope, you sit down or you walk. And I was like, okay, sir.
Yeah, exactly. I consider physical therapists wizards. They perform magic. So I will listen to her.
Yep. But isn't it funny how a lot of people would look at a 5K and say, wow, that's really far. But because of the distance you've done, you're like, oh, I did a little 5K.
I know. It's like, but
put on my flip flops and did a little 3-miler.
Yeah. But you know what? It's pretty remarkable to do a 5K and not really have not much pain at all. It's pretty remarkable.
Oh, I bet it's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, and you're going to appreciate running so much more now that it's a pain-free process.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Hallelujah. Yeah. So, I have one last question for you that I ask all my runners. If you could do any race anywhere, regardless of qualification, distance, or time it takes to get there or whatever, what race would you do?
Oh, I know I have a better answer for this, but I can't think of it right now. I mean, the Arctic Circle has always, and the Galapagos Islands have always fascinated me. And then Australia and New Zealand. I've never been to, that's the only continent I've never been to. And so those are big ones in my head too. So I'll say one of those.
Yeah. Yeah. Those would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a race on the Galapagos Island.
I think so. Isn't that the one with the big heads?
No, Easter Island. Easter Island has a race?
I think so. I think Marathon Tour goes there.
That would be I don't know, but that would be amazing to run on Easter Island.
Yeah, I went to.
Oh my goodness!
I went to Antarctica with Marathon Tours, and I swear they had one to Easter Island.
Doesn't it take like 3 days to get there or something like that? It's like incredibly remote. That would be so amazing.
Easter Island Marathon, June 5th, 2022.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That would be so fun.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be cool?
That would be cool. That would be cool. Wow.
Yeah, let's do that one, Martha. Yeah, once you get your hip back going.
Let me get rich and we'll do that.
2025. We're taking on the island.
Yay. Let's do it.
But have you noticed this about running friends too? Is you suck people into races all over the world.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, what's that old saying? After you get done with a really, really hard race, it's like, I'm never doing another ultra again. Oh, there's a race. I want to sign up.
Open your race bag and it's like, ooh, $20 off of the Easter Island Marathon.
And you get home and you just hated that race, but what do? You go to Ultra sign up and look for another one.
Yep.
It's like, oh my God, what's wrong with me?
It's just like, just like having a baby. Right after you have it, you're like, no, never have it anymore. And then you want to have more. I don't have any myself.
I don't either. I don't know.
That's how I understand it happens. I don't know.
I would imagine. I don't know. But races are like that though. They do suck you in and your friends can suck you in and very badly. But it's better to be sucked into a race than
and that's the thing is that's what I loved about it. That first Baltimore Marathon relay I did is it was so healthy. Yeah. Everybody was so happy and cheerful and cheering each other on. And it was just such a positive experience.
Yeah.
I've sucked a lot of people into marathoning and all of them are still my friend.
It's such a wonderful community. I love the running community so much. And that's kept me going. And I'm sure you found that to keep you going when you're injured, just your runner friends are just so positive and sympathetic and motivating. When you can't do it, they help you.
Yep. And they get you back into it when it's time. Absolutely love it. Some of my best friends. I have 2 friends that we did our first marathon together. We still meet up for a half marathon.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Every year. Yep.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Anne. And I'm going to listen to your podcast and I can't wait for it to be rebranded. Yeah.
So we get to dance in the discomfort zone. Maybe you and I should do a little pod share. You can come on and talk about dancing in the discomfort zone with your new hip and your ultra marathons. That'd be awesome.
Oh, I'd love to come on there because I spent my life dancing in the discomfort zone.
You're like, oh, I know how to dance.
Oh, I do. I have lived my life doing that, right or wrong, Good or bad.
Right. Well, we'll hook it up. We'll make it happen.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. And you have a wonderful rest of your day and good luck and everything. And have a great holiday season. Okay.
Thanks so much, Martha. This has been a blast. I appreciate your time.
And I'll have all your links and everything on my website. Okay.
Awesome. Thanks.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you so much, Anne. I really appreciate you being on the show and talking with me. That was a lot of fun. She's just so much fun to talk to. And I will be on her show later on in a couple months. So I'll let you know about that when that comes around. That's Anne Bonney, and I'll have all of her links and information on the website, martharunstheworld.com, so you can get in touch with her and listen to her podcast, because it's really good. You really do need to listen to it. It will be rebranded, as she talked about, in January. So we look forward to that. All right. We totally look forward to hearing that. And yeah, everything she does just sounds amazing. All right. So now here comes a very short, just one race involved of Tales of the Trail. All right, this week's Tales of the Trail is real short, just one race. It's the Kings Mountain, North Carolina 100-miler. I thought I'd mention this because the GOAT, the greatest of all time, some people say, is Karl Meltzer. He's an incredible ultra runner. He's done so many races in his lifetime. He won the men's, of course, and he did it in 21 hours, 42 minutes, and 13 seconds. And that guy just keeps going and going and going and going. He just doesn't stop. Brian Garrido finished second at 24 hours, 36 minutes, and 17 seconds. That's how much faster Karl was. He was 3 hours faster than anyone else. Joseph Hyatt finished in 26 hours, 17 minutes, and 28 seconds. Julie Blackwell was the first female at 28 hours, 55 minutes, and 50 seconds. Virginia Cradle finished in 30 hours, 38 minutes, and 41 seconds. And Monica Hartzell finished in 30 hours, 38 minutes, and 43 seconds, just 2 seconds behind Virginia. That is a tight race. So well done. And that is this week's Tales of the Trail. And that is this week's episode. Thank you so much for Anne for being on the show. And thank you very much for listening. All the links for Anne and everything on the show can be viewed at martharunstheworld.com. I also have a link to my YouTube channel. Now, nothing on the beginning running series is up yet. Just a short class video is up there, just on my thoughts, where I decided to start doing it, is up. That's like a minute and a half, but nothing about the beginning running series is up there yet. I'm going to start filming that this week. I believe I'll probably start doing it. That will be up shortly, and I'll have more information on that. So if you have any friends who have ever wanted to begin running, but were too intimidated or afraid to do it, this is the series for them, because I don't think I'm scary or intimidating as far as running goes. If they probably see me do it, they could probably say, if she can do it, I can do it, which is what I hope. I hope that they say that, and I hope that they could be inspired by me. I also really want you to send me your race reports. I'm really looking forward to those. Send me a race that you did, your name, the race name, the distance, where it was, and why you liked it or why you didn't like it, or why you had a good time or why you didn't have a good time. And it would be great to read those on Tales of the Trail. So that is martharunstheworld@gmail.com. Yeah, please send them there. And that is it. Oh, and my website address is martharunstheworld.com. So please, all the links will be there. And until next week, let's tie up our shoelaces and go for a run.